Welcome all to round number 3 of the Amateur Driving Badly Championship. Once again, we are in the Porsche Cayman GT4. We're going to run 8 laps at Ebisu here in Japan. Normally more known as a drift track, but it does make a pretty excellent racetrack as well. So, did very well in qualifying. Kind of altered my strategy a bit going through some corners, so we'll talk about that during the race. But starting on the outside of turn 1, looking to make a good start to maintain second, and then hopefully we can get past first place for the win. So without further ado, let's get started. So unfortunately for me, my lack of skill, the start here is going to be really critical on whether or not I can hang on a second and catch first. I've got to get into turn 1 ahead of third place, and I did not do it. And you know, we got past him. I thought we got past him, but no, he just went out of range of my Helio Corsa app, so I couldn't see him out there. But okay, solidly in a second, a little bit further behind first than I would really like to be at this stage in the race, but we have 8 laps to come back, so not a big deal. Now first place is fast. Wow, it was a terrible corner. Really got to get slowed down more for that one. So first place is fast, but he only beat me in qualifying by I think it was 3 or 4 hundredths or something like that, so really a small margin. And I don't know why I went up that hill in third gear. That really took a chunk out of my lap time. So we just want to straighten out the chicane as much as possible and really push on this kind of mini straight here. And I need to do a better job at that corner. I'm not really running my line, not running my race the way I need to. So for a long time now, I've been feeling like I have been taking corners too early. Well, this is known as a drift track, so it just makes sense for me to drift around it a little bit, I guess. So anyway, I've been feeling like I've been taking corners really early, really kind of clipping them. And what I think I figured out is that in almost every corner I've been attempting to take the geometric line. And the geometric line is just kind of that ideal, perfect line where you minimize the radius of the corner as much as possible. You know, maximize the track limits, you know, outside, inside, outside kind of stereotypical thing. But what that would often do is I would lose time on the straights. And so when preparing for this race, during practice and qualification, I just was determined to not do that. I was determined to, no matter what, take a later line, later apex, so to speak, through these corners, and it has helped tremendously. I mean, I went from qualifying in the middle of the pack to I was first in qualification for a lot of laps there, and Olavi, I guess is his name, he only passed me up at the with 2 minutes to go, and I didn't have enough time to go out and try to put in another lap to beat him on the pole. So went from qualifying in 8th, 10th, whatever it may have been, to qualifying 2nd. And so I was really happy with that change in driving style. And I think that's something as beginners, you know, people get caught up with is, you know, you hear all about how to take a corner, how to take a corner. Nobody mentions that that's the ideal corner, isolated from everything else, with no other people on the track. And that's one corner, you know. But obviously racetracks are not just one corner. You can't drive corners in isolation. And so by taking a later apex, what you enable yourself to do is, well, there's a lot of benefits. So for starters, you get to stay on the gas a little bit longer because you're going to delay your braking a little bit, because you're kind of getting a later entry into the corner. You can stay on the gas for longer. Number two, you can accelerate faster out of the corner. So, because the line you're taking is shallower on the exit, you can accelerate the car through the exit of the corner much faster. Meaning you can get on the gas faster is what I'm trying to say in a very clumsy manner. You don't have to wait as long to get on the gas, and so therefore you're accelerating sooner, which means you're carrying more speed through the next sequence of track. And so overall it's just faster. Now there are some, with everything else in life, there are some positives and negatives with this technique. So number one is that you do have to slow down a little bit more. Your minimum speed going through a corner is going to be lower with a late apex. Now normally you can make up for that, like we talked about, you can make up for that with a faster straight line speed, sooner acceleration coming out of the corner, so that's not that big of a deal. But the second thing you do is you kind of open yourself up to the dive bomb. Catch. Okay, good. So you kind of open yourself up to a dive bomb. I don't feel like the AI takes advantage of that too much, but a player definitely would. So if you were in a close battle, a lot of times you hear about you know, people guarding the inside line, that sort of thing. You have to do that. You have to do that because people send one up the inside all day if you're leaving that open. So we'll cut that a little bit more than I really wanted to, but we're able to get that stopped and turned in time. So by doing this, late apexing, I think my lap times have improved by a good second on this course. Maybe half a second. Maybe a second's too generous. But that half second is what takes you from 8th into 2nd for qualification. So definitely happy with it. I'm going to keep trying to improve on it and see where it takes me. I have a good feeling about the rest of it. So the other thing we need to talk about is I messed up the championship. So after this race, I'll show you what I had to do and explain some things. It's not really going to affect anything except one thing in the grand scheme of things. So we are looking to hold on to 2nd place here. I'm going to take this corner a little bit conservative because I do not want to give it away. I do not want to give away any places at this point. I don't think Olavi is going to take the overall championship lead away from me. So I am pretty happy with that race. I did put in some very fast laps, even though not every lap was as quick as I would have liked. So what happened with the championship is that in Assetto Corsa, once you finish qualifying and it puts you into the race, if you quit, it acts like you gave up. It gives you did not finish, and you get no points, and it really stinks. So let's go ahead and get out of this, and we're going to go back to the championship screen, and you'll notice something that might be a little bit strange. So you'll notice up here that I have two Ebisu races. And the reason for that, like I said, is I got into Ebisu, I qualified, it put me in the race, which I left my computer to do something, came back, realized that I didn't have my profile set correctly. So not thinking, I quit the race to change my profile, and when I came back in, I realized that it had completed the race and put me in last place. And so obviously I didn't feel like that was fair. I had qualified in second on that race as well, so I knew I was going to finish higher than last place for the most part, and so I did not think that was fair. And at first I thought, well, we'll just, I'll just edit something in, some new points, that sort of thing. But then I got into poking around in the game files, and I realized that I can change the championship, add things around, and kind of replay that a little bit. So I don't think I did it quite the best way, but what I did is I took all the points away that everybody earned in this first race, and then I just ran this second race. Got second, still in first place if we look at the standings. I always forget which one is standings. This one. If we look at standings, we're comfortably in the lead now, so I might even bump up this 96% up another notch. But yeah, so Olavi, he just won. He had no points coming into this race. So Dean, if you remember, we were tied with Dean, and he must have done very poorly in this race. Anyway, the next change. So if I go up here and hit next, if you go back to the first video, this is supposed to be Mid-Ohio. It's supposed to be 8 laps around Mid-Ohio, and you can see it clearly says Avenisto. The reason for that is I tried to load Mid-Ohio to race, and it would not load. It would act like it was going to load, and then it would crash out. And I raced it many times with other people online, and I did not think to check it with AI. And so I don't know if it just doesn't work with AI at all, or if there's some issue with it being in a championship or what. I'm not sure. So I edited the championship file and replaced that race with this new race. So it's going to be, I think, 7 laps around Avenisto instead of however many laps around Mid-Ohio. And then the rest of them are the same. And I have tried AI in the rest of these, I think. So Red Bull Ring is a Kunos track, so that won't have any issues. But these other 3 may, although they are all supposed to work with AI, so we will see. But anyway, if things look a little bit weird to you on this championship screen, that's why. I probably could have reset the championship to this race instead of this one, but I didn't think of that until I had already done all the editing and stuff, and I didn't feel like going back and changing it. So anyway, I appreciate you guys coming in, watching the race with me. Leave me some tips and tricks in the comments below so that I can get better along with everyone else, and I will catch you guys next time.